Welcome, ladies and gentlemen from the Prime Global community. It's an honor for me to introduce this keynote panel, Positive Impact Rating for Business Schools, launch of the 2022 edition. My name is Paulo Spironi, and I'm the coordinator of Youth Leadership and Innovation at the Prime Secretariat and the project manager of the Prime Global Students Network. As my title and responsibility suggests, you can imagine how student engagement and youth leadership towards sustainability and responsible management education matters to me. That's why it is an immense pleasure to introduce this keynote panel. As many speakers and participants of the Prime Global Forum highlighted today, students are influential drives of change on campus. All of their movements make a critical statement for the future they imagine. And after their reaction, their voice get louder and they move into the spotlight within and behind their schools. In this sense, listening to their desires and understanding their demands are essential measures to shape the responsible management education worldwide. That's why the positive impact rating has become a powerful tool to transform business schools around the world, from being the best in the world to being the best for the world. Today, Prime is thrilled to welcome Thomas Dyllick and Sophie Charwa to launch and present the findings from the PIR 2022 edition. Before handling the stage for them, please let me formally introduce our brilliant guest speakers. Thomas Dyllick is a professor emeritus at University of St. Gallen, president and director of the Institute for Business Sustainability in Lucerne, Switzerland, co-founder and member of the supervisory board of the Positive Impact Rating Association, and the co-founder and direction of the Executive Diploma in Advanced Sustainability, endorsed by the UN Global Compact Switzerland and Liechtenstein, World Business Council for Sustainable Development, and the WWF Switzerland. Our other speaker is Sophie Charwa, the co-president of Oikos International. After graduating with a master in strategic leadership towards sustainability, she stepped into the role of stewarding the global community of student change agents for sustainability in management and economics education at oikos. Sophie is a board member of Prime and the GRLI and a supervisory board member of the Positive Impact Rating. Sophie and Thomas, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the beautiful framing, Paulo. And it's such an honor to be here with you today and introduce you to the results of the third edition of the Positive Impact Rating. I would say both Thomas and I, as members of the PIR Supervisory Board, are very proud to be here. So Thomas, tell us, what's this year's report focusing on?
Thank you, Sophie. Good morning, everybody. Yes, before we get into the PIR, let's look at the context where this all is taking place. And in looking at our this year's results, we found some interesting differences between the global north and the global south. The global north has been experiencing a period of relative peace and prosperity since the Second World War. Economic growth and industrial development have dominated the agenda. This is reflected also in the purpose of business schools. Their educational agendas have focused on providing the leaders needed to build and maintain corporations as the engines of wealth creation and economic growth, promising them attractive international careers and well-paid jobs. In the context of a 2-year global pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine, these priorities seem outdated in Europe and in the global north. Problems are growing in size and in complexity. The climate crisis Political divisions, refugees, and resource shortages are no longer isolated events. Being in crisis mode has become the new normal and has affected the priorities of business and business schools alike. The Global South has been facing environmental and social crises for a long time and in more existential ways. Their business schools have not only learned to adapt to these crises, but have often been formed with this role in mind. Very often they act as public citizens that mitigate existing problems and react to emerging challenges. And this is what positive impact for society is all about. So why does it need the PIR? While traditional rankings are mostly interested in economic benefits to students and business schools themselves, the PIR looks at the positive impact business schools have on their context. We're using a clearly defined positive impact rating model for this. The PIR asks students to assess the positive impact of their school, thereby capturing the views and expectations of the school's own students. A voice that is knowledgeable and relevant for the school, an important stakeholder that is rarely heard. The PIR is structured as a rating, positioning schools in 5 different categories, not in specific positions like in a ranking. We don't want to encourage schools to become leaders by beating their competitors. To make meaningful progress in the sustainability field, we need more collaboration, not competition. Business schools traditionally are seen to support business and the economy. Making a positive impact on society has not been considered core to business schools. The PIR wants to be a lever of change and development in the needed transformation of business schools. The PIR is more than a rating tool. It is a tool that enables school development. Successive generations of students evaluate their school's positive impact and its improvements, thereby creating a basis for positive impact communication. To measure the positive impact of business schools, a unique model was developed by a large school of business school representatives. It measures the positive impact in 3 different areas: energizing the school, educating responsible leaders, and engaging in society, which are broken down into 7 dimensions: governance, culture, programs, learning methods, student support, institutions as a role model, and public engagement. Now, over to you, Sophie.
Yes, let's have a look at this year's results, actually. And this year, the PIR has captured the voice of over 8,600 students. 45 business schools from 21 countries and 5 continents have been rated, 35 of them from the Global North and 10 from the Global South. Despite the pandemic and its impact on campus education, participation has remained stable. On average, around 180 students participated in the survey in each school. The minimum number required was 100 students per school or 50 students per bachelor and master program. Several of the PIR schools have also been ranked in the top 50 Financial Times Masters in Management ranking and the Corporate Knights Green MBA ranking. But what do the students actually ask for, Thomas? In 2 open questions at the end of the 20-question survey, they shared what they would like their schools to start and to stop doing to improve their positive impact. Teaching sustainability and responsibility in a wider number of courses, integrating practical skills for a future as a sustainability leader, and listening to the student voice when improving sustainability in curricula, operations, and culture were the 3 things shared most often. And I believe they speak for themselves. It is striking how nearly 9,000 students from across the globe were very clear in their demands to learn about sustainability in the core of their study programs and not only as an add-on. and about being prepared to become sustainability leaders. They ask for different insights, but also for different skills and competencies. And they want to be heard and involved in the process. If you think for a moment that these students will be the ones who will navigate the fate of our world over the next 20 to 40 years, and if you acknowledge that this world will be dramatically different, you probably agree that their demands are realistic and well-founded. The top 3 of what schools should stop doing highlight that again. In aspects like not using single-use plastics, not providing unsustainable food and catering, and not offering courses that do not include skills for sustainability leadership, we can see a clear pattern. The what and why of learning is incredibly relevant to students, just as much as behavior on campus. It's about integration and mindsets, and there are many stories to tell where this is already happening. Thomas.
Okay, now let's look at the results of the PIR rating 2022. Let me remind you, we rate the schools by level and we present them in alphabetic order. In this third edition of the PIR, business schools from the Global South, particularly India, perform better than their peers in the Global North. The Indian quartet of SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, XLRI, IIM Bangalore and Watson Business School all achieved the highest level of the PIR as pioneering schools. And schools from the Global South perform significantly better than the schools from the Global North. A PIR score average of 8.6 versus 7.5 on a scale from 1 to 10, quite significantly. The majority of the participating schools, 29, are rated at level 4. We call them transforming schools. They're listed alphabetically. To remind you again, Aalto is not the best and Maastricht not the poorest performing schools at level 4. There is a positive momentum that we observe, which is promising. 4 schools, IESEG School of Management and Audencia Business School, both from France, Antwerp Management School from Belgium, and HKUST Business School in Hong Kong have achieved steady progress in the past 3 years. And there are 12 schools on level 3, which we call progressing schools. The PIR maintains its promise to feature only the best schools in the spirit of celebrating success, while we do not feature schools at level 2 or lower. This is just a reminder. Now, in early 2022, we surveyed our participating schools and how they used the PIR. 40 schools responded. We were surprised to learn that while schools appreciate the benchmarking and rating function of the PIR, impact measurement was considered much more important. Let's look at the figures. 49% of the schools see the main purpose of the PIR in recognizing how and where a school can increase its positive impact. For 23%, the most important purpose is to understand their students' expectations and collaborate with them. And for 20%, the most important aim is to communicate their school's positive impact. Also, looking at the right side of the slide, most schools have started to use the PIR as a measurement and reporting tool to account for their school's progress and social impact. 62% of the schools surveyed have used the PIR in their ASCSB accreditation, 49% have used it in their prime reports, and 35% have used it in their EQUIS accreditation. The schools are clearly gaining tangible benefits from using the PIR and its results. Now, we present again a large number of best practices case studies in the PIR 2022 report, which is online available. Examples from schools strengthen the role of the PIR as a learning tool and serve as an inspiration for other schools. There are lessons from pioneering schools in the Global South and in the Global North. It's impressive to see how the peer pioneering schools from India integrate social and community development affairs contributions deeply into their educational activities. Making community contributions to a regular part of the educational offering for students develops their leadership skills in an inclusive and responsible way. Looking at a case study from the global north, we had a brilliant and a very touching case study from Koszminski University in Poland on the Ukrainian refugee crisis. Koszminski opened the university to incoming civilian refugees on day one of the Russian invasion. It took the lead in creating the first 24-hour support point in Warsaw. Refugees received initial humanitarian and legal support involving students, faculty, and staff. They closed parts of the university, including a complete shutdown of the library, to create place for the refugees to stay overnight. The university's actions sparked a wave of support from many others, including local business authorities and residents. After a week, the city authorities mobilized aid on a larger scale, allowing the university to focus on other forms of support like fundraising, blood donations, but also conferences and roundtable discussions on the consequences of the war and the future reconstruction of the Ukraine. Sophie.
So as these were only two example stories, and I would really recommend all of you out there to check out the report and find out more of the beauty that is going on out there. But Thomas, maybe in 2 or 3 sentences, what would you see as the value of the positive impact rating for the business school world out there?
Well, let me try to be brief. While future students now have an alternative source to select their business school, that's the students' side, the schools refer to the peer primarily to measure and communicate their transformational progress. So, the voice of the student has become a true source of value. And we from the peer will continue to work on this and to strengthen the voice of the students. Have a wonderful day and see you soon.
Thanks, Sophie and Thomas, for another remarkable positive impact rating keynote panel at the Prime Global Forum.